Workplace Revenge: How One Small Mistake by My Boss Changed My Career, Part 1. 6 months ago, I was just another software developer at TechCore Solutions, a mid-sized company where I'd spent 3 years of my life. My boss, Richard Martinez, was the kind of manager who took credit for his team's successes and blamed others for his failures. I had learned to live with it, keeping my head down and doing my job. Everything changed when our team landed a major contract with a Fortune 500 client. The project was massive, and we all knew it could make or break our company's reputation. I was assigned as the lead developer, working countless overtime hours to ensure everything was perfect. One Friday evening, while everyone else had left for the weekend, I discovered a critical error in the project documentation. Richard had mistakenly approved an outdated version of the security protocols, which could have exposed our client's sensitive data. Instead of addressing the issue immediately, I decided to document everything and wait until Monday to bring it up. That weekend, Richard sent an email to the entire executive team praising himself for catching this very same security flaw. He even attached a detailed report. My report, which I had saved on the shared drive. He had simply copied it, added his name, and claimed all the credit. What Richard didn't know was that I had embedded a unique digital watermark in the document. It was something I had started doing months ago, tired of seeing my work attributed to others. Each report I created contained a hidden timestamp and identifier that could prove its origin. Monday morning came, and Richard strutted into the office like a peacock. The executives were impressed with his diligence, and there was even talk of a promotion. During our team meeting, he had the audacity to lecture us about attention to detail using his discovery as an example. I remained quiet, gathering more evidence. I noticed Richard had developed a pattern of taking credit for his team's work, not just mine. Several of my colleagues had similar stories, but everyone was too afraid to speak up. The company's open door policy was just for show, and HR had a history of siding with management. But I had something Richard didn't expect: a plan. Over the next few weeks, I meticulously documented every instance of his plagiarism, each stolen report, every misattributed success, all carefully cataloged with irrefutable proof. My digital watermarks were just the beginning. The breaking point came when Richard submitted my innovative solution for our client's mobile platform as his patent application. He didn't even bother to change the technical specifications I had written. That's when I knew it was time to act. Little did Richard know his small mistake of stealing my security protocol report would set in motion a chain of events that would reshape both our careers. Sometimes the smallest errors can lead to the biggest consequences, and Richard was about to learn this lesson the hard way. To be continued. Workplace Revenge: How One Small Mistake by My Boss Changed My Career, Part 2. Armed with my evidence, I needed to be strategic about my next move. I knew going directly to HR would be futile, as Richard had them wrapped around his finger. Instead, I reached out to Sarah Chen, a former colleague who now worked for our client's compliance department. Over coffee, I shared my concerns about the security protocols and showed her the original documentation with my digital watermarks. Sarah was alarmed, not just by the security implications, but by the pattern of deception. She explained that their company had strict policies about intellectual property and project management transparency. The following week, our client requested an audit of all project documentation. Richard was confident, unaware that his house of cards was about to collapse. The auditors spent 3 days going through every file, every report, and every piece of correspondence. I watched as Richard's smug smile gradually turned into nervous glances. During the audit, they discovered not only my watermarked documents, but also evidence that Richard had been misrepresenting project timelines to both our company and the client. He had been taking credit for early deliveries when in reality our team had been working according to the original schedule. The timestamps on my documents proved this conclusively. The real turning point came during a conference call with our client's executive team. They requested that the original authors of key technical solutions be present. Richard couldn't talk his way out of this one. As I calmly explained the technical details of systems he had claimed to develop, his face turned pale. The client's legal team became involved, and Richard's carefully constructed facade crumbled. My patent application documentation proved that he had attempted to steal intellectual property. The executive team was furious, not just about the deception, but about the potential legal and security risks his actions had created. Richard was terminated immediately. But the story doesn't end there. The company, desperate to save face and retain the client, offered me his position. However, I had leverage now, and I knew my worth. I negotiated not just for a better title and salary, but for structural changes in how project credits were attributed and how intellectual property was protected. The most satisfying moment came when Richard's LinkedIn profile suddenly changed to seeking new opportunities. Several other companies in our industry reached out to me asking about his applications. I remained professional but honest, letting his own documented actions speak for themselves. Today, I lead a team that values transparency and collaboration. We implemented a new system for documenting contributions, ensuring everyone receives credit for their work. The client not only stayed with us, but expanded our contract, impressed by how the situation was handled. Richard's small mistake of stealing my security protocol report exposed years of deception. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about creating positive change. Sometimes standing up for what's right requires patience, strategy, and impeccable documentation. As for Richard, last I heard he's working at a much smaller company, learning the hard way that integrity matters.